On Christmas Eve 2002, a pregnant woman in Modesto, California, went for a walk and never came home. Her name was Laci Peterson. Her husband Scott said he was just going fishing. But what happened next would turn a quiet suburban disappearance into one of the most infamous murder cases in American history. This is the story of Laci Peterson, told scene by scene. Laci Peterson was 27 years old in 2002, 8 months pregnant with her first child. She grew up in Merced, California, and married Scott Peterson in 1997. The couple settled into a modest home in Modesto, a quiet middle-class town. Friends described Laci as athletic, kind, and excited about becoming a mother. She was seen as the picture of a young, hopeful wife facing a bright future. But on December 24, 2002, that future would vanish in a matter of hours. On Christmas Eve morning, Laci told neighbors she was going to walk the family dog, a chocolate lab named Mackenzie. Security footage later showed her leaving the house around 10 a.m., wearing a gray sweatshirt pulled up over her pregnant belly. She walked down a quiet street toward a canal trail, a route she had taken many times. Scott Peterson said he got up, drank coffee, and shortly after left on a fishing trip to the Berkeley Marina, about 90 miles away. When she didn't come home, he filed a missing person report and told police he had no idea what happened. Within hours, volunteers and police began searching fields, canals, and nearby neighborhoods. Flyers with Laci's smiling face appeared on every telephone pole. The story quickly spread beyond local news. A pregnant woman vanishing on Christmas Eve tapped into a deep fear across the country. Networks replayed the same images, the same questions. Where did she go? Who could have taken her? As days passed and no answers came, the public moved from hope to dread. The case stopped being just a missing person story and started to feel like a national tragedy in the making. Scott Peterson came across as nervous and emotional in early interviews, but some details began to raise eyebrows. Neighbors reported seeing black trash bags, a hose, and a suspiciously clean driveway in the Peterson home. Some described Scott as distant, others said he seemed shaken. Detectives noticed that his fishing trip alibi didn't perfectly line up with certain times. As pressure mounted, police began to suspect that the key to Laci's disappearance might not lie with a stranger, but with the man who reported her missing. The investigation slowly turned inward, toward the husband and the secrets he might be hiding. At the heart of the case was a secret relationship. Scott had been seeing a 26-year-old woman named Amber Frey, a nurse from Fresno. He told her he was single, that his wife was away visiting family, and that he dreamed of a future with Amber. When Amber saw Laci's face on the news, she realized she had been lied to. Police reached out, and Amber agreed to help. She recorded a series of phone calls in which Scott continued to feed her lies, pretending his life was still intact, even as his wife remained missing. Those recordings would become one of the most damning pieces of evidence against him. With no body and no confession, the prosecution had to build a case from fragments. They looked at gas station receipts from Scott's drive to the marina, at the time it took him to travel, and at witnesses who saw him near the water. They examined the condition of the family dog, and the unusual cleaning of the driveway. There was no clear murder weapon, no forensic proof at the scene, and no eyewitness to a killing. Instead, the case relied on a web of inconsistencies. A husband with a secret lover, a suspicious alibi, and a timeline that just didn't fit. The jury would have to decide whether this web of evidence was enough to convict. More than 4 months after Laci vanished on April 13, 2003, a body washed ashore in Richmond, California in the San Francisco Bay. It was the torso of a woman. DNA would later confirm it was Laci Peterson. Nearby, another body was found, a full-term fetus identified as her unborn son, Connor. The bodies had been in the water for weeks and their condition pointed to a violent death. The location and the currents led investigators to believe Laci's body had been dumped into the bay, likely from the Berkeley Marina. The discovery finally gave the case a physical anchor, 2 bodies that no longer allowed the public to pretend she had simply walked away. Scott Peterson was charged with 2 counts of murder, first degree for Laci and second degree for Connor. The trial moved from Modesto to San Mateo County to avoid pre-trial publicity. Cameras were allowed in the courtroom, turning the proceedings into a public spectacle. The prosecution argued that Scott killed Laci on or near Christmas Day, loaded her body into a boat, and dumped her into the bay. The defense countered that the evidence was all circumstantial and that there was no proof of a killing. The jury watched months of testimony, emotional family statements, and legal arguments, all while the world watched alongside them. In November 2004, the jury delivered its verdict. Scott Peterson was found guilty on both counts. He was sentenced to death for Laci's murder and to life in prison for Connor's. The decision sparked a mixture of relief and outrage. Some believed justice had finally been served. Others insisted the case lacked hard proof and that the media frenzy had poisoned the outcome. Over the years, appeals followed. In 2020, California's Supreme Court overturned the death sentence, citing issues with jury selection. Scott was sentenced to life without parole, where he remains today. Laci Peterson's case remains a landmark in true crime. It's a story about a woman who never came home, a husband whose secret life unraveled under pressure, and a national media circus that turned a tragedy into a spectacle. It also raises questions about how the system handles circumstantial evidence, how the public reacts to missing white women, and how a single lie can spiral into a lifetime in prison. Whether you see Scott Peterson as fully guilty or a victim of a flawed process, one thing is clear. Laci Peterson's Christmas Eve disappearance left a mark that hasn't faded. If you want more deep-dive true crime stories like this, tap subscribe, hit the bell, and stay tuned for the next case.